Hello everybody, Gadget Boy here, and we're going to do another kit build today. This is the second kit that I was given by my boyfriend that I have absolutely no idea what it does. But once again, we can infer a couple of things based on the components that are involved. We've got, like with the last one, we've got a triple nickel timer here and a 4017 decade counter. So we know that we're going to be using the timer to generate pulses for the decade counter, which is going to count up to 10. Actually, technically it counts to 9, depending on how you look at it, because it starts at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, technically. But really with a decade counter, it's not counting a specific digit, it's just turning pins on one after another, so if you want to say that it starts at 11T5, then it starts at 11D5. Anyway, so we've got the decade counter, so some of these resistors and the capacitors here will be being used to provide that pulse into the logic. We have here a little trim pot with a very bent lead that I'm going to have to straighten out there. There we go. And that's a 503, so that's 50K trim pot there. So that's almost undoubtedly going to change the speed of the pulses going into the decade counter. We've got some transistors. Not entirely too sure what they're going to get up to. Let's see. The transistors are coupled to the outputs. Okay, that makes sense. So the transistors are being used as switches, because one of the very basic functions of a transistor is to use it as a switch. I think I've drawn the picture before, but we'll just do it again real quick. Maybe, because I need something to write with. I think I remember seeing a pen. Boy, I'm really organized today, aren't I? Yay, go me. Ah, there's the pen that I thought I saw over here. Okay, so transistor. Looks like this on... I'm gonna do this a little more center of field here. Looks kind of like this. On a... That actually looks more like a Japanese character than anything else. But, so that's a transistor. In this configuration, you'll be, well, technically with conventional current flow it goes this way, but I tend to think in conventional current flow, so you'll be having the current trying to go in that direction, but it doesn't until you apply a voltage at the base, and then current can flow through it. So until there's current being applied here at the base, that transistor isn't going to open. You can kind of think of it as one of those electronic doors where you go to the place and the guy has to push the buzzer and then the door opens for him. Sort of like that. And that's the method that they're being used in this particular setup. Then we've got a rather dizzying array of diodes here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 diodes that are being used to route the pulses from the decade counter into the transistors in various different formats. I'm not going to sit here and try to figure out the exact configurations. And then we've got some resistors for current limiting. So my guess on this is that once powered up, these little panels here, which are just a bunch of LEDs mounted in series? Series parallel arrangement of 4 LEDs. Okay, so that means I'm going to need about 5 to 8 volts to run this thing. Anyway, so each of these panels, which has a current limiting resistor on it as well, will be used to, or is going to light up in some configuration based on the pulses coming out of the 4017 decade counter. So there aren't really any surprises on this one. The diodes are germanium diodes, which means they have a 0.3 volt drop instead of a standard silicon diode, which has a forward drop of 0.7 volts. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw us into time-lapse mode here and throw everything together, and we'll see what happens on the other side. So I'll see you guys. It's probably going to be a half an hour or so for me, but for you guys it'll probably be about 5 minutes watching it in time-lapse mode. So we'll see you in a bit. Okay, we're back for a bit, just because I noticed something interesting. So you probably saw in the time-lapse where I was briefly testing each of these LEDs to make sure they worked. And as I was going along, I was like, oh, they're red LEDs. So I started to work on the next panel, and I tested the LED, and I'm like, huh, that one's blue. And then I reached over to the other pile and went, oh, and that one's white. So I've got 3 different colors as well going here. I'm not going to bother time-lapsing the other 2 panels. It's really time-consuming and really boring, probably even in time-lapse. So when we come back the next time, I'm going to have the whole thing complete, and we'll see what happens when we plug it in and give it juice. So I'll be back in a bit. And we're back after another jump cut. It's actually tomorrow. I had a Christmas party that I had to go to, but I finished this little project here. And I'm getting to show off another little early Christmas gift I got. This is a protoboard with an integrated power supply, which is pretty awesome. It's got 2 controllable voltages with plus 15 and minus 15 volts, and a little integrated voltmeters that tell you what your voltage is set to. And it's also got a static 5 volt supply. Now for testing this, being as I don't know for sure if it needs 5 volts or not, we're going to use one of the adjustable power supplies for it. And if it doesn't work at 5 volts, we'll start ramping it up until it kicks in. Now it came with these neat little cables. You typically see these in Arduino applications, but instead of having single end terminators like these do, it's got 2-pin terminators. So we're just going to peel these apart real quick, just like that. And then we're going to connect the circuitry together. I'm actually going to preset this to one of its extremes. There we go. Now with these, it's going to be important to remember where the polarity on them. Now they're marked on the boards, so for here I've got plus set to the white wire, so when I connect it to here I want to make sure that plus is set to the white wire again. We'll just quickly repeat that with all the others. Now I remember these were multicolored, and I should have marked down what colors they were before I started working here, but oh well. Anyway. So we're just going to quickly connect these up to the main board here. This is getting a little bulky and difficult to manage. See if I can just curve that around like so. There we go. And then last but not least, we're going to clip this onto there. And then because this doesn't have pins on the end, we're going to, let's see, plus is the yellow wire on this one, so we're going to put the black wire into the orange and the red wire into the yellow. And then we're going to go ahead and connect the pins of the power supply. So we'll clip that on, And then we'll clip this one on, and we'll see what happens. Absolutely bupkis. Interesting. When I plugged it in, the voltage dropped rather sharply to a much lower value. Interesting. It's something's not going right here. Did I get one of the ICs mounted backwards? No. It's all done. Plus is yellow and the red. Black is orange. That's all done correctly. Interesting. Why isn't this actually working? Oh, let's try the static power supply. Oops. Oh, tell me I didn't just have a brain fart and connect these backwards. Okay. Black wire to the black, red wire to the red, and nothing. This is going to do. Okay. Those are perfectly cool. Let's amp this up and oh, hey, look at that. Okay, so 8 volts isn't enough. I'm thinking 12 volts is probably where this is supposed to run. So we'll just ramp this up to about 12 volts. Got a nice flashing effect there. I don't know if it's swamping out the camera or not, but so that's what that does. That's interesting. I have absolutely no idea what purpose this serves. Let's tweak this trim pot and see what happens. Oh, I know what this is. I bet this is supposed to be like police lights. That's probably exactly what this is supposed to be emulating, like emergency lights. Interesting. Well, there we have it. There's the second of 3 mystery kits. I'll be doing the 3rd mystery kit shortly. So there we have it. The decade counter is causing these to flash. That's very interesting. So this one flashes 3. This one flashes 2, and this one only flashes 1. So there's 1 pulse missing from the decade counter, but maybe they aren't even using it. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, give that thumbs up button a click, share it with your friends, like, comment, subscribe. You know all the things that you do on YouTube when you like a video. And we'll see you in the next video when I build my last mystery kit. So we'll see you next time. Bye.